it was actually a tremendous blessing to these children for them to be killed.
Alex O'Connor invited William Lane Craig on his channel, where he made some extraordinary claims about morality. We will put to test some of his arguments, but first let's hear what he has to say about moral obligations.
So it gets back again, Alex, to your ethical theory. Whence do moral obligations arise? And I cannot think of any source for moral obligations more plausible than that these arise as a result of imperatives issued by a qualified authority.
I think here he is mixing moral obligations with legal obligations, and moral obligations do not necessarily arise from the presence of an authority, while it is true that it will be a moral obligation to follow the law. But moral obligations do not stop here. Like, for example, if a child is drowning in a pool, and you happen to be nearby, you might not be legally obliged to save that child from drowning, but it would be immoral to let that child drown. So for morality to exist, there is no need of a legal authority. Legal authorities are there to make sure that no one exploit the rights and resources of another individual or society. They are not supposed to enforce any idea of morality on an individual until or unless that individual is transgressing.
But it would mean that
Right.
there's nothing intrinsically wrong with taking the life of an innocent child. Nothing intrinsically wrong with it.
Well, again, this is going to depend on your moral theory, Alex. I think that right and wrong, moral obligations, are determined by imperatives issued by a qualified authority. And so in the absence of such imperatives, there literally is no right and wrong. It's a subjective illusion of human consciousness. And I think this is one of the real problems of atheism, is that lacking a moral lawgiver and moral authority, it has no basis for affirming objective.
Now, the argument that divine commandments are the source of morality for humans is very weak. While it might be true that religion does provide humans with a sense of morality, but grounding the complete moral code of humans in religion is not true. Because let's say a person is an atheist, so according to William Lane Craig, that person has a very weak sense of morality because he cannot ground his morality on an objectively true religion. Now let's say that person decides to convert to Christianity. Would William Lane Craig consider that decision to be based on some strong sense of morality or not? Because if that atheist had no sense of morality before becoming a Christian, then becoming Christian might well be an immoral act on the part of that atheist.
Boy, just to reiterate again, what is the problem here? The problem is whether or not there is an internal inconsistency in the Judeo-Christian worldview between affirming that God is all good and all just and affirming that God commanded Israel to drive the Canaanites on pain of death out of the land. And so the question is not, are these things true? Or did this really happen? It's only a question about, is there an inconsistency between those two propositions? And I think that given a divine command theory of morality, we can see that those propositions are quite consistent with each other. Now,
so here he is saying that the killing of innocent children can be justified using the divine command theory of morality by saying that killing innocent children was an act of mercy because they would have suffered on earth. Now, this theory of divine commandments cannot be presented to an atheist because as a religious person you can believe it, but to present it to an atheist you need a falsification test for this theory, which does not exist because audience can be manipulated to believe any event was moral. Let me give you an example. Let's take the example of a mass slaughter. What if the criminal claims that the people he slaughtered had evil nature and would have caused trouble for humanity, and God ordered him to slaughter those evil people? So it was not only justified to kill those people, but it was a blessing for humanity. Here I am not claiming that this scenario disproves the theory, but it does leave the theory incomplete. As there is no falsification test, so anything can be justified by manipulating the audience. And secondly, as Alex rightfully asked, this type of justification of an event leaves doubt in mind of people about any standard of morality. Let's say someone heard a voice commanding them to kill 100 people. If it was well known that from a religious point of view it is immoral to kill any innocent person, that person would not take any action. But such weak explanations that it might be justified to kill innocent people because they have evil nature leaves the door open for any kind of act. And those with mental health disorders like schizophrenia are susceptible to such events, because with this type of explanations you are left with no basic standard of morality. That's all from this video. If you want more of these, please subscribe my channel. And thanks for watching this video.